For 2 drivers, their fates are sealed. For 12 others, this is their last chance to make it happen. It's the cut-off race. It's Iowa for round 14 of the 2025 Juicy Spider Elite Racing Truck Series. For the final round, Jeff Green and someone else, so I'm forgetting this moment in time, are both locked in. Tom Bourne and Cody McCorkle sit above the cut-off line. 10 others sit below it in a must-win situation for the final round of this round of 14. I'm William White, leading the action tonight. Alongside me for race control, Mathieu Weeks and Jesse Rasimas up in the production box. How are we doing tonight, guys?
We're doing good, man. I'm ready to watch some racing here with this truck. Track looks very slick out there. Looks like it's fun to drive. So I'm thinking we're going to see some good racing.
Yeah, definitely. So Jeff Green and Justin Wadsworth, you'll see they're in green. They're currently locked in. You see the key there in the top right-hand side of your screen as you go through the starting grid. Jeff Green on pole here. Gavin Higgins still alive in second place on the grid there. Leighton Norgard and JP Phillips are both counted as barely breathing. They're in a must-win situation. Cannot make it in on points. Justin Wadsworth, the other locked-in driver, is in 5th. Dylan Havir, his teammate, 6th. Caleb Bakuma, another guy who needs to win, is in 7th. His teammate, Chris Wright, is in 8th. Is currently above the cut line by 14 points, but still nothing guaranteed. Frank Foti, first non-playoff driver apart from Dylan Havir. He's 9th. Gerald Campbell in 10th. Jaden Rasimas and Josh Adams, 11th and 12th, Matthew.
Then we got Joe Francis, 13th. Michael Hosick, 14th. Jeff Ryan, Tom Bourne, 15th and 16th. Andrew Hardcastle, Kyle Henshaw, 17th and 18th. Cody McCorkle, 19th. Connor Thompson, 20th. Mitchell Havir, 21st. Dave Huckleberry with, I think that's probably his best Q, 22nd so far this season. Seth Ross, 23rd, who will be getting EOL for too many tallies.
So Seth Ross there already with his back against the wall. Still there, listed as barely breathing. He has one last chance to make it happen here at Iowa Speedway, and it's counted as the world's fastest short track, obviously seen in many real world series. Has recently in the last couple of years made its return to the NASCAR schedule. Has become a staple of many leagues across iRacing and always throws up some incredible action. Its unique shape, its multi-groove, and it's a short track, so aggression is always amped up. It will be Jeff Green in the 38 Turner Eye Clinic Chevrolet that will lead the field to the green flag, trying to get his second win in this round of 14. But it's the final round. It's the DesignPing 150. Last chance to get into the final 4. The green flag is out here at Iowa. It's an even start for Jeff Green and for Gavin Higgins. Higgins just a couple hundredths behind Jeff Green here. Leighton Norgard, JP Phillips, 2 must-win drivers neck and neck for that final podium place. Justin Wadsworth as well, waiting in the wings here. Still 2 by 2 throughout most of the field. JP Phillips trying to get the move done on Leighton Norgard already. 1 lap done and dusted as laps here sub 25 seconds. It can make 150 laps seem not very long at all. Seems like the middle line working well here, conserving momentum well. Leighton Norgard somewhat trapped on the bottom, might start to bleed positions here, but a fairly clean start here, Matthew.
Oh yeah, good start here. I'd be kind of worried for these guys running the middle to outside lanes. I know it's a little faster, and this track produces some awesome racing on the sim like that, but you just kill those tires. So it's like a management game. You want to run the bottom, and then probably run the tops for a couple laps. You know, flip it up here and there, and don't overheat those tires. But it looks good. We see some 3 wide action just barely right there. These trucks are slick, so these boys are going to be digging out there tonight, racing hard side by side.
Definitely saw that bit nip and tuck there between Jaden Rasimas, Frank Foti, and Gerald Campbell. Of course, Gerald Campbell trying to get his way into the final 4 is currently outside of the top 4 on points. Currently runs in P8 in the aggressive Eagle Ford. Now looking for a move potentially on Caleb Bakuma, who cannot afford to lose any more positions. He is a must-win driver, same as the rest of the drivers in red on the left-hand scoring pylon, but leading the race by nearly half a second so far is Gavin Higgins. He's taken the lead from Jeff Green early doors here and has absolutely begun to take off here. Good short run pace evident for the number 20 truck, but I just do wonder, I become a bit skeptical if he's going to pull away that much that quickly if those tires will go the full distance. We know that these later races in the season, as car count begins to diminish, the NASCAR Cup Series All-Star race is on right now, so I'm sure there are a few guys absent watching that at home. So only 23 trucks taking the start means that there's a far higher chance of more green flag runs. I do wonder, knowing that, should Gavin Higgins really be taken off at such a rate of knots?
I'll be worried. We did a cup race here Wednesday night, and he got the pole, and he did the same exact thing. He drove really hard the first 30 laps and pulled like I think like a second half, 2 second lead, and then the tires took a big hit, and he dropped through the field. It's like this track. I mean, you can really drive it hard, but for some reason, unlike any other shorter tracks, it just kills the tires, and you just got to be very careful not to push too hard here. It's very easy to, but you just don't want to.
Yeah, I think it's a lot to do with the speed, especially in turns 1 and 2. You see the bumps that are right on the bottom there. You see the drivers go over it, as well as right on the high side by the wall there. If you choose to run that line, there's some really, really nasty bumps there up by the wall in 1 and 2. And of course, the speed from that's generated by the banking here at Iowa. It's known as the world's fastest short track for a reason. It can tear your tires to absolute pieces here, but still a lot of fights going on in the mid-pack. A lot of drivers, I would think, are somewhat out of position. We're focusing on Chris Wright here, who's fighting for 12th alongside another driver. We were mentioning before the race, Matthew, Josh Adams, very, very good here at Iowa Speedway. Finds himself, though, only 12th place at this current moment. I'm seeing a lot of drivers that I think I would consider to be out of position, the likes of Josh Adams and Chris Wright.
Yeah, and racing as much as I've raced against Adams here and how much he has waxed me on this track, he's taking care of his tires. I mean, he's really good at doing that here, and you can tell he's getting a good arc in 3, getting right to the bottom of the yellow line and easing on the gas, and he's not forcing the too wide like I've seen Chris get next to him, and then they'll race probably in 1 or 2 side by side, but he'll lift and let him go, or Chris will lift real early and let him go. They're taking care of each other while taking care of his tires. So I'll see him coming along, probably making passes about lap 25-ish, 30-ish, right in there once the tires really start to flip.
Definitely, yeah, Josh Adams, we know how good he is at this track, and I think even just as you see the way he drives on exit, no fishtailing at all out of that number 81 truck. Very, very smooth and methodical. Now goes for a move on Jaden Rasimas here, who currently runs in P11. So Josh Adams trying to make some headway into the top 10, tailed, of course, by Frank Foti in the number 41. Trying to follow through, though, is Michael Hossack up on the high side, trying to get to the right rear of Josh Adams, and he will do so. So Adams might lose position as of right now. But again, is this a tire-saving game? These guys trying to use the high side to conserve momentum and get the move done that way could really be putting a beating on their Goodyear rubber, and potentially they might pay for it later in the race. But so far, lap 13 of 150, the gap out in front, 7/10 of a second, but not between Higgins and Green, but between Higgins and JP Phillips in the 34 as Jeff Green back to third and a second and a half off of the leader. So a very strong qualifying lap from Jeff Green, but I wonder, at least for this exact moment, is the 2000 NASCAR Xfinity Series champion just lacking a bit of pace at the minute here?
No, I think he's taking care of his tires too. I'm noticing a lot of people doing that, and like I said, I'm bringing up previous races where we've had the last couple of weeks and other series where I race, and Jeff Green like comes to mind. I think we ran a race Monday. I forget what track. He did the same thing. He really laid off early. It was Kentucky, and I got to him on the long run, and he just took off. He's gotten really better at really taking care of his stuff on these tracks, and he's really learned this sim more and more. I think as he spent more time with the Pro Edge guys, we've really helped him in the Xfinity Series, teaching him little certain things about taking care of stuff.
Definitely, and that's obviously manifested in his progress across all the series here. Has made the Final Four yet again in the Juicy Spider Truck Series, not for the first time here as he clutched up in the postseason. Currently runs in P3, of course, doesn't need to do anything to make the Final Four. He's already locked in from his win in the first race of the playoffs back in Michigan. Focusing now on the fight for P11 once again between Josh Adams and Jaden Rasimas. It's Adams low and Rasimas high here, the MSI number 1. Still fighting hard on the outside. I don't think Josh Adams is too worried about that. There's more time spent on the outside, running those higher minimum speeds. There's more tire wear for the number 1 truck, and I think he's really starting to make some headway into clearing that number 1 potentially in the next couple of laps here. Further behind Tom Bourne, who is above the cut line as they run 16 points to the good. Currently runs 14th and 15th, alongside the other driver who is good on points at the moment, Chris Wright, in the number 8. I don't think either of these two are particularly concerned at this moment in time with where they run. They've got 131 laps to go next time by, and with the low car count, there comes a point where they might not even be able to be caught. But of course, the worry is with them themselves being only 2 points apart and there being a new winner, whoever's lower out of the two of them will get ousted out of the final 4. So I don't think either of them are too concerned about their points. I think they're only concerned about their position relative to one another. And at the moment, Tom Bourne does have the upper hand. Chris Wright is currently 4th in points. So if there were a new winner in this playoff round of 14, such as Gavin Higgins, who currently leads this race, it will be Tom Bourne making the final 4, with Chris Wright currently out of it. Of course, still a long way to go here. 130 laps still remaining here, Matthew. But you have to wonder, does that play on the mind of some of these guys that are potentially in, but not guaranteed by any means?
Yeah, 100%. And I'm in the same boat on Wednesday. Like, I'm only, I think, 6 points, 7 points out, like right below the cut. And you're sitting there, when you get to this last race before the championship race, it's like, it's hard to gain points on certain people because you know certain guys are going to run top 10 the entire race and they're going to be contenders. So when you get in your mindset of these guys that are like, I don't know how many points, I forgot to check. Say if like you're like me, a couple points behind, like 6, and you're like, okay, these guys run top 5. I have to win because I know they're going to be up there getting these stage points and stuff. So in my mind, no matter what, if you're below that cut line, you're coming to this track to win the race to get in.
Definitely, and these will be the most important stage points, I think, that will be distributed all season long. They'll come at the end of lap 50. That will mark the end of stage 1 here at Iowa, at which point 10 stage points will be distributed to the winner of the stage, all the way down to 10th place, who will receive 1. At the moment, Josh Adams will receive 1 solitary point there, with obviously Chris Wright and Tom Bourne not receiving any with where they currently preside here. But JP Phillips, who is now battling for the lead with Gavin Higgins, has relinquished the lead momentarily, as caught right up to the back of the number 20. Whoever wins the stage here will get 10 points. It was looking like JP Phillips, now back to Gavin Higgins, but neither of these guys are in. But JP Phillips is in a must-win situation. Gavin Higgins, of course, a win will do him a world of good. That will automatically lock him in, but 10 stage points will be crucial for him should he be unable to see the checker flag at the end of lap 150. But this is really an important battle early doors here. You mentioned around lap 25, lap 30 is when you're going to start to see the tyre savers start to come back up through the pack here. We saw Gavin Higgins get to about 7 tenths in front of JP Phillips. And then just the last handful of laps, JP has closed that gap right down.
Yeah, and I'm just worried about his 1 and 2. What I've known about this track is like going outside of 1 and 2, you don't want to go too high. You really want to get to the middle and kind of get, pinch the guy low, because that bump gets bigger the higher you go, and it hurts the car more. And then 3 and 4, if you want to work the outside, you can. I think it's better in 3 and 4, but he needs to go a little bit lower, I think, in 1 and 2, and he'll get up really close to Gavin.
I think the way I'm seeing him arc in and then go really low out the corner. I think he's just trying to set up an exit here. So, but that's definitely a case of needing to do that sooner rather than later. Yeah? If he has to do that too many times, it's really going to be bad news for his tyres. But JP Phillips now trying to get to the outside. Gavin Higgins shuts the door there. I think both of them almost nearly into the safer barrier there. Again, JP Phillips way up by that higher set of hash lines there. Hitting the bump ever so slightly. He's going to get a decent exit. Will gain a few hundredths, but is now a quarter second behind Gavin Higgins. And of course, the longer these two fight, the likes of Jeff Green and Leighton Norgard could be brought into play here. Leighton, another driver who absolutely must win and mathematically cannot make it on points here. So another driver who needs to clutch up for his first win of the season. He currently runs in 4th. The highest non-playoff driver is in 5th. That's Dylan Havere. Dylan did quite well a few races back in Michigan. He ran up front for a long period early doors in that race, and again we're seeing him in the top 5 here in the postseason here in the Juicy Spider Truck Series. potentially a good omen for 2025B if he chooses to compete again as someone who could be in the playoff picture next season. But Gerald Campbell as well, in 6th, starting to creep up on this top 5. He's managed to get past that melee that is kind of from 7th and 8th on back, and has caught this lead pack, and I think is starting to show some strong pace as well.
Yeah, I'm starting to notice that too. I'm seeing Adams starting to gain little by little, Wadsworth here and there. I'm starting to see these guys who really took care of their stuff early in the run starting to really come to life right now. And to bring up a veer too about next season, this is where you want to start building that momentum to start the next season. You had a rough, first 10 races of the season, but as we have a caution.
Oh, I think it's Seth. I saw his name tumble down the scoring pile. Frank Foti might have been involved as well. We'll take a look at the Robalis instant replay. See what happened coming out of turn 2 here. It's Tom Bourne that's involved. Loops around the 41. 41 tries to correct, and Seth Rawls drops it, trying to avoid that accident. And it's a hard impact into the inside wall there for Seth Rawls, and that is not what he needs. He's a must-win driver. Was already serving in EOL, started 23rd and last, and now finds himself having to get some damage repaired on pit road. His back now majorly against the wall. Have another look here. It's Frank Foti kind of in the middle of an offset. 3 wide here becomes 2 wide, gets a little loose. Tom Bourne just tags him ever so slightly. And as Frank Foti tries to correct that car, does well not to hit any barriers there and get that car back pointed in the right direction. But Seth Rawls just trying to avoid that incident. Will ride on board with him now. Sees the incident begin to develop in front of him. Darts low, hits the brakes, and the rear tyre is not holding on under that brake pressure. And it's a one-way ticket straight to the inside wall there for the Shift Esports owner and driver. So now, caution number 1 here in the DesignPing 150 at Iowa, and every single driver has pit bar 1. Chris Wright has chosen to stay out. Gavin Higgins wins the race off pit road. He'll restart 2nd. JP Phillips, Jeff Green in 4th for Leighton Norgard, 5th. Dylan Havir, 6th. And Gerald Campbell, Joe Francis, Justin Wadsworth, and Caleb Pukuma, the top 10. But Chris Wright staying out on what will be 33 lap old tyres that will have taken a beating in that sort of mid-pack there, where there was a big melee going on, a lot of hard-fought racing for position. Of course, Chris Wright is 14 points clear, and a win will obviously do him a world of good. But I don't know if this is a good strategy call from the number 8. But we'll have to wait and see how that develops. We're going to take a quick break here, though, on the Elite Racing Network. We'll be right back with coverage of the DesignPing 150 here at Virtual Iowa Speedway for the final round of the round of 14. Don't go anywhere.
Race 3 years of sellout crowds, 3 years of edge of your seat action, 3 years of jaw-dropping finishes. Worldwide Technology Raceway has rocked the world of NASCAR, and now NASCAR is giving us another reason to celebrate. The 2025 NASCAR Cup Series Championship Playoffs are coming Sunday, September 7th, 2025. Just when you thought the racing couldn't get any more intense, now every single lap matters. One wrong move could be the difference between elimination and being crowned the king. The Enjoy Illinois 300, the Confluence Music Festival, the NASCAR Cup Series Playoffs, and for the first time in 15 years, the NASCAR Xfinity Series on Saturday, September 6th. Don't be on the outside looking in. See history being made in your own backyard. Go to www.raceway.com for the hottest ticket of the year.
And we are back here on the Elite Racing Network for coverage here of the DesignPing 150. We're about to go green again. Everyone has pit under this first caution except for our leader Chris Wright. He starts on the outside in the number 8. He will have control of the restart coming to the green flag to end caution number 1. He hits the loud pedal, does get clear of Gavin Higgins. We'll see if he can hold on to this lead. Higgins now pressuring the number 8 into turn 1 and will retake the lead here going into turn 1. Chris Wright already beginning to bleed positions here. Already down to P5. Now P6 here as they enter turn 3. Coming into lap number 37. Stage points will be distributed at the end of lap 50. Gavin Higgins now, though, in the lead here. Jeff Green and Dylan Javier, second and third. JP Phillips and Leighton Norgard in hot pursuit. 2 must-win drivers. Gerald Campbell there in P6 and Justin Wadsworth already locked in up to P7. There's a crash further back there. Joe Francis goes around. I see Tom Bourne involved. He's above the cut line. Caleb Pacuma as well as they exit turn 2. It all comes to grief here. And it's a second caution in quick succession here at Iowa. And we'll have to see just what started all that, as a lot of cars have been involved there. You see the call from Mathieu Weeks on the bottom of your screen there for caution number 1. That is a racing incident, but there is another crash now that requires his attention. It's Josh Adams that's involved. Gets into the left rear of Joe Francis, Pacuma on Bourne with nowhere to go. Jaden Rasimas involved, as well as Cody McCorkle, Michael Hossack spinning in avoidance. That's Connor Thompson that's involved, as well as Frank Foti, Dustin Dewar, Dave Huckleberry, pardon me, that's involved there, as well as Mitch Havir and Seth Roll. So 11 trucks there involved in that crash. That's nearly half the field here tonight have all been involved in some way or manner in that accident. We're going to run on board here with Tom Bourne in the 61 and see if he had nowhere to go here. Joe Francis and then Cody McCorkle, I believe that was, that got put into the back of Tom Bourne, then an additional impact for the 61, and that will be less than ideal for his bid to keep P3 in the regular points standings here. Seth Rawls, you see, trying to get the car slowed down and square into the back of Mitchell Havir there, and becomes the 11th truck involved in that accident. But a second caution here in quick succession puts us under caution again here at Iowa Speedway, as Gavin Higgins now leads. Jeff Green is second, Dylan Havir in third, JP Phillips and Leighton Norgard, your must-win drivers, 4th and 5th. Gerald Campbell and Justin Wadsworth, 6th and 7th. Josh Adams, who was involved in the accident, still runs in P8. Jeff Ryan and Frank Foti, 9th and 10th. So that is your top 10 as they run here at Iowa. A few drivers coming down pit road. Everyone from 12th on back there. That's Seth Rawls in the car number 25. He elected to come down pit road to get his car repaired yet again here. And everyone else taking a fresh set of boots, including Chris Wright, who stayed out for that first caution period, and of course started to bleed positions pretty much immediately, whether that was a scheduled call or simply not paying attention and having missed pit road. We'll have to see if we can speak to him after the race and get confirmation on that. But no one coming down pit road in the lead pack here, so the order remains the same as it was when the yellow flag came out there. But that has very much thinned the herd. No one out of the race, I wouldn't think. But that has definitely put a lot of drivers with their backs against the wall here. But of course, with a lower car count, only 23 of them taking the flag tonight, with half the field being involved, they've only got the other half of the field to get through here. So definitely not over by any means, with over 100 laps still to go. 10 to go now in the stage as they cross the line under caution. They double up behind Fred, the pace car driver. It'll be 9 to go at the green flag. Gavin Higgins leads and elects to take the higher side. Jeff Green is in second place. Mitch Havir, Dylan Havir, pardon me, is in third. JP Phillips and Norgard in 4th and 5th. And there's your race control call from Mathieu Weeks. Tally issued to the 81 of Josh Adams. Gets into the left rear of the 55 truck. That's Joe Francis driving for Aggressive Eagle Esports in the numbers by Joe Ford, though still in the running is the 55 as well as the 81 there. A first tally. No consequence at the moment for Josh Adams, but if he gets another tally, then that'll be in parked for the evening, and a final 4 bid absolutely put away here. Gavin Higgins will have control of the restart zone, looking for his first win in the postseason. Was, some would say, robbed at Bristol. Could already be locked in, looking to right those wrongs tonight. 9 to go in stage 1, and it's Gavin Higgins that takes a quarter-second lead over Jeff Green and JP Phillips in second and third as they barrel into turns 1 and 2 here. Jeff Green holding on over JP by just half a tenth, but JP now on the high side with the run, coming back at the 2000 NASCAR Xfinity Series champion here. They fight hard for second and third here through 3 and 4. Gerald Campbell, the good restart. He's already up to P4. Dylan Havere and the Leighton Norgard going backwards here. Norgard fishtailing out of turn 4 there. Ooh. He's down to P6 here, but still everyone fighting hard. 10 points plus a playoff point on offer for whoever can win the stage, and there's less than a tenth almost between Higgins and Phillips up at front, Matthew.
Yeah, it's getting good, and I thought Jeff Green about wrecked himself right there trying to block Gerald. That kind of made me jump, and Adams all over the back of Javier right there, and these boys are going at it for these stage points, and I know the top two really need them, especially Higgins, since Phillips is a must-win, so I don't think these stage points are really going to matter to him.
We'll see if the bumpers come into play at the end of the stage here. Of course, every point matters for most of these drivers. We've got two teammates going at it here. That's 8th and 9th, Justin Wadsworth and Chris Wright here. Chris Wright now trying to claw back some of the damage done by a strategy call there on the first caution here, and now has a fresh set of boots on his car and is up to P8 ahead of his teammate and two-time elite champion Justin Wadsworth here. Gerald Campbell on the high side trying to get past Jeff Green and into the podium places for the first time tonight here. Leighton Norgard potentially trying to follow the past Cup Series champion through there in P5 here. Gavin Higgins, though, still leads by 3 tenths over JP Phillips, simply trying to see the stage out and get himself 10 crucial, critical points here. Adams now looking for a move on a Leighton Norgard. Down deep on the brakes here into turn 3. We'll get that truck slowed down. Norgard, though, with the momentum around the high side. Adams not quite as loose as I thought he was going to be. A good straight exit off. But no, nothing going there for the 81 as of right now. 4 laps to go in stage 1. It's Josh Adams now trying to potentially resist pressure from Chris right here. Leighton Norgard potentially with his eyes back forward, focused on Jeff Green and Gerald Campbell in front of him. The battle for the lead continuing to heat up. Less than 2 tenths between JP Phillip and Gavin Higgins at the line. 3 laps to go. Either of these two could win it, and we'll have to wait and see if any of Gerald Campbell and company can close in within these last sort of mile or so. I wouldn't think so. It seems to be a 2-horse race up at the front for the 10 stage points on offer here. JP Phillips way upstairs now, looking for the move, looking for the money move here. He's going to get to the left rear, or the right rear, pardon me, of Gavin Higgins. Isn't going to quite get there. Higgins shuts the door. Phillips backing out of it this time. 2 to go now, though. Less than a mile and a half here at Iowa in stage number 1 here. 10 stage points on offer for the winner. JP Phillips now 3 tenths behind Gavin Higgins. Higgins beginning to eke out a gap just at this most crucial moment here. White flag in stage number 1. Stage number 1 ending at lap 50 here. Gerald Campbell beginning to fall back from the front too, as these two putting their authority on this race here as the pace setters here. Fights further back between Jeff Green and Josh Adams for every last point here. As Adams now emerging into the top 5, gets past Jeff Green. Chris Wright looking to follow him through. Battle turn 4 for the final time in stage 1. It's going to be 10 stage points for Gavin Higgins. He wins stage 1 of the DesignPing 150 and Mathieu Weeks. That is 10 crucial points for the number 20 truck.
Yeah, and what I looked at, the top 5 was top 6 was pretty much everyone that needs points. So that's crazy. So now it's going to be tougher. Now these guys are going to have to really dig in and probably going to have to win. Like, I don't think them stage points are going to play unless these guys get wrecked out early.
Yeah, I think the gap might be too great with, at the top of the show, Chris Wright being 14 points clear of the cut line, Tom Bourne being 16 clear. With, of course, Jeff Green and Justin Wadsworth already being locked in there. That's why their names are in green on the left-hand side of your picture there. So 10 stage points will definitely help eat into that gap somewhat. But Chris Wright taking 5 stage points, or 6 stage points, I should say, for himself, though, will soften that blow somewhat there. And but Tom Bourne not getting any will really not be good for the driver of the 61. He currently runs in P16. So the regular season champion with his back against the wall here to try and finish the job and fight for the crown come the end of the season. Still, though, Gavin Higgins leads now by half a second over JP Phillips. Has begun to eke out a gap. We are focused on the fight here between Jeff Green and Josh Adams. Further behind them, Jeff Ryan and Dylan Havere going at it for P8 and P9. 2 non-playoff drivers. Neither of them have a dog in the title fight. This is purely for bragging rights here. Jeff Ryan now way upstairs, looking for the move on the 57. Justin Wadsworth there, waiting in the wings here to see if anything happens between these two, but nothing going so far for the number 6. Now less than a century of laps to go. These guys obviously restarting the race on lap 41. They can make it to approximately lap 130 on fuel. So regardless of what happens, they will all have to pit at least once more. Potentially, though, under green flag conditions. But gaps now beginning to spread. Makes me think that we might be manifesting a long green flag run here, Matthew.
Yeah, and I would hope that would be cool if they only can go to like 130ish. That'll all kinds of different strategies. You might see guys pit early, put forward. Might guys push it late and only take 2 or no tires. It'll be interesting. So I kind of hope it does green so we can see that.
And that is the point where brains become just as, if not more important than brawn, so to speak, on the racetrack there. With the strategic mind potentially coming into play there. We focus now on the fight between Justin Wadsworth and Joe Francis. This is your fight for P10 here. Francis looking to make his way back in as he is in need of crucial points if he wants a shot at making the final 4 here. A bit loose there off corner for Joe Francis, but holds on to it. We'll get past Justin Wadsworth for the moment. Wadsworth still fighting it in P11 there. But Francis around the outside will have the momentum and will clear Justin Wadsworth potentially in a couple corners time here. Wadsworth though hanging on the left rear of the 55, sends it deep now, potentially looking at 3 wide here. Francis in the middle, Wadsworth down low. Good awareness from the pair of them, but Jeff Ryan does get clear. Both of them move back up. Frank Fote now waiting in the wings, see if anything happens between these two here. Jeff Ryan running strong though, able to keep these two behind him for the moment. And Joe Francis will want to quickly dispatch of the number 6 so that he doesn't have to continually run the high side, putting more damage and wear on those tyres. But I think he might potentially clear him this time. Has the run and does clear Justin Wadsworth going into turn number 1. You see already darting down low. Doesn't want to use any more tyre than he absolutely has to, and with 90 laps to go, it's still all to play for. And I think this is the point where, you know, we're about 20 odd laps into the run, similar to what we saw before the first yellow flag. This is where we'll see the comers and goers as Joe Francis is almost into the left rear of Jeff Ryan there. We'll see the comers and goers in terms of tyre saving here. But Gavin Higgins still holding a solid advantage over JP Phillips. Isn't streaking out in front as much as he did first caution, but also isn't losing it as quickly. Still maintaining a stable gap over the 34 of JP Phillips. So I do wonder now if Gavin Higgins has potentially figured something out on the tyre saving front.
Yeah, he's taking care of his stuff. I think he needs to be a little better, but knowing that you don't have to go as long, he might just drive it as hard as he possibly can and split the run in half and put 4 on it and go out there and do it again.
Potentially, I'll have to wait and see. Split strategies are almost a certainty with the fuel windows that are at play here at Iowa Speedway. These trucks barely able to go over half distance, so sort of lap 120, 130 I would have thought would be the absolute upper echelons of what these guys can do on fuel here. But Gavin Higgins slowly starting to fall back here to the likes of JP Phillips and crucially a Leighton Norgard as well. He's managed to break in to the top 3, now finds himself just over a second behind the race leader. But the leaders now having to contend with traffic. We saw them get by Dave Huckleberry just a minute ago. They're now working past the 58 of Mitchell Javier. And I think now a battle may soon ensue between Gavin Higgins and JP Phillips as Phillips begins to close in. I think that's going to bring a Leighton Norgard into play as well. I think we could potentially see a 3-horse race for the lead here, with all 3 drivers basically needing to win here tonight. So this could get quite tasty quite quickly. And you're right on board here now with Abbott Motorsports as a Leighton Norgard here. Already made a final round appearance in the Truck Series previously in 2023, back when it was a Final 5 format. Finished 3rd in the championship on that particular occasion. But you see speeds averaging in the middle of the corner about 115 miles an hour. And they're going to peak at the end of the back straight around 147 miles an hour. So speeds absolutely quite high here at Iowa Speedway. Definitely going to prove to be quite abrasive on the tyres here. You just see Leighton Norgard beginning to put a bit of opposite lock in there at the exit of turn number 4 there. But the battle between Phillips and Higgins beginning to erupt here, and I think that's exactly what a Leighton Norgard wants to see at this point. See Phillips now way upstairs once again here. Gavin Higgins looking in the mirror, seeing if Phillips will try and exact a move this time. But I think at this point, Matthew, JP's being very, very patient. You're seeing the gap begin to widen again on corner entry, even when JP Phillips has a big run from when he goes way high through turns 3 and 4. Tells me he's being very, very patient. Knows potentially that at this exact moment his truck is faster than that in the number 20. I think is just looking to bide his time for now.
Yeah, I think he noticed that first run towards the end of it, he was better. I think he's trying right now to take care of his tires just a little more, knowing he has the better long run truck, and just wait and see what Gavin does. I mean, that's what I would do if I was in this spot. Just sit there and just wait for it to come to you, the lead to come to you. There's no point to go up there and just take it right now when you know you have the better truck, after 25 laps.
Definitely wants to continue to save tires even in the heat of battle. Does JP Phillips has to think long term here now that we've had a good 25-30 laps under green flag conditions. Has to potentially start thinking about green flag pit stops and how they could become a factor in this race as well. About how lap 120, lap 125 is when you'll start to see those drivers begin to pit. And of course, if one of the front guys pits, that will set off a chain reaction of everyone coming into the pits in the laps immediately thereafter. Don't want to get undercut too hard here at a track like Iowa where the laps take off quickly. We're about to reach the halfway point already here in this race here. Lap 75 will mark the halfway point. It's Gavin Higgins still leading JP Phillips, but by only 2 tenths. Leighton Norgard just chipping into that advantage ever so slightly. Lays 8 tenths back from the leader at one of his strongest runs thus far in this 2025 A season. Gerald Campbell as well beginning to close in, just a second and a half off the race lead. We currently have a 4-horse race for the lead, headed by Gavin Higgins here, still doing well to hold off JP Phillips. He's not burning his tyres by any stretch of the imagination. His pace is still strong at this moment. I think the important thing is now for Gavin Higgins is to simply hit your marks, make sure that you are saving the tyres where possible here, to make life essentially as difficult for JP as possible, to ensure that he can't get a massive pace deficit on you. Further back though, this is your fight for P5. Chris Wright trying to gain crucial points here. In 5th, already 14 above the cut line. This will do him a world of good if he can get a top 5 here. Josh Adams beginning to fall behind here. Got passed by Chris Wright, now looking potentially to be getting passed by Jeff Green here. Down to P7 for the Shift Esports driver here as Jeff Green, pole sitter, looking to get back up towards the front here at around the halfway point. We saw him in stage 1, Matthew, saving those tyres quite aggressively. Lost the lead pretty much immediately and was really hanging back off our leaders here. And I think now that we've had sort of 30 odd laps here, I think we're going to start to see him come towards the front again.
Yeah, I agree. It looks like it right now, because I noticed Chris took tires under that last caution. He drove really hard to 5th, and then he stalled out, and now he's starting to fall back to these guys. And I'll be worried if Jeff Green really saved his tires that much. I think he needs to step on it now so he can really gain as much time as he can and get as close as he can before they all have to pit.
I think this is a time where Jeff Green can take advantage of this clean air that he has in front of him. A second and a half up the road is Gerald Campbell from Jeff Green. Obviously doesn't have to worry too much, as we've mentioned. He's already locked in, hence his number being in green there on the left hand side, as is Justin Wadsworth, who's just at the top of your picture there, fighting with his teammate Dylan Javier. Josh Adams continues to spark the fight between himself and Chris Wright for 6th and 7th. Kind of a half slide job there from the 81, pulls up just in front of the 8 of Chris Wright, almost into the back of the 81 there. Is into the back of the 81 there. He's not going to like that. And Josh Adams is around on the exit of turn 4. It's a 360, and that is going to be a 3rd caution of the evening. I don't think Chris Wright was too happy with getting a slide job put on him there by Josh Adams, and he's let Josh Adams know about it. I'll have a look here on the Robotics Photography replay.
It's crazy too because these guys are really good friends, and these last couple weeks they have been having incidents with each other like this.
Oh, Chris Wright tries to put a nose in there. Adams tries to save it, but nothing. Going there for 81, just a tap into the more of a graze than a tap really into the outside wall there. But the fight between Chris Wright and Josh Adams comes to blows there as they fight for P6, with everyone, with no exception, coming down pit road this time. So it'll be a race down pit road here at the halfway point. Crucial point being that from this point onwards, everyone will be safe on fuel. So it will be a pure tyre saving game if we can go green from here on out once the green flag comes back out. Jeff Green pulls into pit stop number 1 here. We'll see who wins the race off pit road here under this third caution procession here. Pit stops averaging around 14 seconds for these NASCAR trucks. Gavin Higgins steps on it. He's first out of pit road. Leighton Norgard and Gerald Campbell neck and neck for third, but it's Leighton Norgard that just pips the 0-0 there. JP Phillips in between them. Jeff Green, Chris Wright, Justin Wadsworth make a Lake Norman 5, 6, 7, 8 now with Dylan Javier, Joe Francis and Frank Foti round out the top 10 in the race off pit road. These guys will form themselves back up behind Fred the pace car driver to end caution number 3. It's lap 79 of 150 at the DesignPing 150. It's the cut-off race to decide the final 4 in the 2025 Juicy Spider Elite Racing Truck Series. Back with more action soon. Don't go anywhere.
They walk among us, but at 240 miles per hour, they become something more. They're thrill seekers, risk takers, and maybe just a little bit unhinged. Buckle up. This new era of speed, this racing revolution, it's just getting started.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
And we are back here for live coverage of the DesignPing 150 here to decide the final 4 in the 2025 Elite Racing Juicy Spider Truck Series. We're ending caution number 3 here with 69 laps to go here for the DesignPing 150. It'll be Gavin Higgins that has control of the field here coming into the Geico restart zone. Green flag is back in the air, and it's Gavin Higgins who gets a really good jump there. 3/10 clear of Gerald Campbell. JP Phillips not with the ideal restart. He's down to P3 already. 3 wide for 4th there. Leighton Norgard trapped in the middle. Manages to clear Chris Wright, but he's down to P5 now as he has pressure inside now from Justin Wadsworth. Jeff Green now gets past the 12. He's losing positions on this restart already. Gavin Higgins though 2 tenths behind, but Gerald Campbell's closing up fast here already. 1 lap ticked off under green flags conditions here. And Gerald Campbell is really showing his stuff early on here, trying to get to the left rear of Gavin Higgins. You see the call there from Mathieu Weeks at the bottom of your screen. Racing incident there for caution number 3 between the 8 and the 81. Gerald Campbell now going to get a very good exit off of turn number 4. Isn't going to quite get the run that he needs though. Gavin Higgins still holding on.
I just seen a truck wrecking through the infield. I think it was a 3 truck. I don't know if he got loose on the exit of the 4 or he got hit, but I just seen it out of the corner of my eye, truck sliding.
Okay, have a look at the Robalis photography replay, see if we can catch what happened to Jeff Ryan here. I think he did just get a little bit loose coming out of turn 4 here under the 57 of Dylan Javier. The truck just steps away from him, does a good job at saving it, but around she goes. Gonna lay nicely off the pedals, and it's going to let that truck roll through the infield. No need to lock the tyres. Jeff Ryan will rejoin the race around half a lap behind the rest of the field. A field led by Gavin Higgins, as it has been for quite some time here. Gerald Campbell, though, putting him under some real extreme pressure here. The most pressure that Higgins would have been under for a vast duration of this race. Campbell almost into the back of Gavin Higgins, trying to essentially push him around the racetrack and really apply the pressure. Now he's going to dive low, and he's going to get to the left rear of Gavin Higgins. This is a fight now for the race lead here. Higgins and Campbell both looking to lock themselves in, but Gerald Campbell gets way loose off of turn number 4. Can't hold on. Gavin Higgins back clear of the 0-0, and that could potentially bring the likes of JP Phillips now back into play here. Only half a second off of this fight for the lead here. Campbell now with all to do to claw that deficit back. Just over 60 laps to go. We focus on a fight now between a Leighton Norgard and Justin Wadsworth here. A Leighton Norgard on the outside, Wadsworth on the inside. Wadsworth already locked in. Will file back in behind truck number 12, who has now got a bit of work to do himself to get back those few positions that he lost on the restart here. Further behind, Josh Adams and Chris Wright. They already crashed into each other to start caution number 3, and now to end caution number 3. They're already back side by side, so definitely neither of them shying away from the fight, having both been involved in their own incidents throughout the night. Josh Adams getting the best of truck number 8 at this moment in time now. 61 laps to go at this moment in time, and there is another caution. There is a crash further back in the field here, and for the 4th time tonight we find ourselves under caution condition here at Iowa. We'll see what the Robalis photography replay has to say here. Connor Thompson potentially involved. The truck just steps away from him almost in a straight line there, and Connor Thompson 4th caution of the evening. The 30 truck goes spinning down to the infield there, and that'll be what brings out the 4th caution of the evening. A single car incident for Connor Thompson of Shifty Sports, and we find ourselves once again behind the safety car. We'll see this time if anyone elects to come down pit road. They've done a few laps, but I think they have to be wary of how many sets of tyres they have if they want to come down again. We'll see. Gavin Higgins does stay out, as does Joe Campbell, and as does absolutely everybody. So a unanimous call to stay out for these drivers for this particular caution. Jesse Rasimas, Michael Harsek, and Tom Bourne, as well as Jeff Ryan and Cody McCorkle make the late call, as well as Mitch Xavier and Connor Thompson making a late call to come down pit road, presumably for repairs for some of those guys who were involved in earlier incidents. Dave Huckleberry, you see on the left hand side of your picture now, taking his lucky dog, so he will be back on the lead lap here soon enough, and he will resume the race at the tail end of the field, but on the lead lap, of course. So a self-spin for Connor Thompson brings out caution number 4 here, but it's still Gavin Higgins, as he has for quite some time, leading the race. Joe Campbell now to race high P2, and potentially Higgins' strongest challenger up to this point. JP Phillips will restart 3rd, Green 4th, Norgard 5th, and a solo spin, no contact for truck number 30. That's what you see on your screen there. That is the call from race control Mathieu Weeks. So of course no tally issued post-race for the 30. He'll get a tally in race, which means he is still skating on thin ice somewhat. One more and he is parked, but it will not count for any post-race tally marks after the checkered flag has fallen. So if that's his only incident of the race that is of his doing, then he is absolutely fine as far as reprimanding goes. We'll be back green in a couple of laps here. Still single file behind the safety car. I presume we'll go doubling up this time by, but Matthew, now that we've got just over, or just under I should say, 2/3 of this race locked up now, who are your who have you been particularly impressed by? Who are your contenders here to potentially throw up some surprise and potentially get themselves into the Final Four here?
I'm really looking at Campbell and Phillips. Campbell seemed to be really good on the long runs when we had those, and he looked really strong on this short run right here. He looked like he was the only one that was really putting pressure on Gavin. He was making him drive hard right there. So those two guys look really good. I think we haven't seen all of Jeff Green yet. I think he's just been holding back, you know, just he's here to win the race, nothing else. But I think the top two right now are your biggest threats. Adams, I think him and Chris Wright, they've been going to war the last couple weeks. They had some words after that wreck tonight, so I think they're going to be racing each other super hard right now. So I think that might come into play. So there's going to be a lot of stuff happening in these laps, 50 or so laps here.
Time beginning to tick down, only 57 laps to go. Of course, those laps tick off quickly at Iowa. We can be done here if we stay green in about the next half an hour or so. So time really of the essence now for these guys. Gavin Higgins still leads this race. Hasn't been challenged too hard. Gerald Campbell really put the pressure on. We'll see as he controls the restart again here. Elects to take the outside, what he can do from the lead. It's a good jump again. He gets 3/10 clear. Jeff Green's going to get a nose on Gerald Campbell. And going in to turn number 1, and that is music to the ears, I'm sure, of Gavin Higgins, who now looks to pull away here. Early doors here and establish a gap with Jeff Green still fighting Gerald Campbell for second place here around the outside. He, of course, got the pole here ahead of Gavin Higgins, with Higgins starting in second place. So Jeff Green definitely has the pace here. JP Phillips, another driver that that Mathieu Weeks mentioned on the bottom there, alongside Josh Adams. And already another caution here, as there's another fight, another crash further back. I do wonder who's been involved to put us under caution yet again here in quick succession here for the 5th time tonight here at Iowa, as the racing is beginning to get just that bit more abrasive, as it's all to do here, all to play for these drivers. We'll have to wait and see for a replay to see who is involved, but incidents definitely becoming more and more regular for these drivers. Nothing currently popping up on our radars as to who might have been involved. We're going to just wind it back here. As there's a car up in the wall there. That is Connor Thompson again, going for another pirouette up on the high side of turns 1 and 2. So that is why we are again under caution. He's in the wall, going into the corner, and the car just loops around. Another really, really weird incident. Almost collected his teammate Cody McCorkle. Again, it just seems like the car's giving up in a straight line. And you now see truck number 30 in the pits there, potentially done for the evening here. But another very, very weird incident for Connor Thompson, the 2nd in a row tonight here.
And I think what I've looked at the first one, he looked like he had some damage on the truck already. And ever since the last build on the sim, even 5 seconds of damage anywhere on the truck gets so loose and it's sometimes so hard to drive. And I think that's what he was struggling with, was that damage, and the truck kind of already being loose. And then you add that on there. Sometimes it's super hard to drive. I was struggling with it a couple weeks ago in a practice at Atlanta right before a league race. I got a little damage to see how it felt, and that thing was so wrecking loose. It was crazy how much a little damage does.
Definitely. So looks like damage really exacerbating the issues that these guys are facing here. We are going to quickly sponsor. We're going to quickly thank our sponsors and partners before we go green here. So we're going to hand over to producer Jesse Rasimas to thank our premier sponsors and partners here at the Elite Racing Network.
Want to give a shout out to Blue Egg Marketing. Been a premier sponsor with us here at Elite for quite some time. So rev up your business with Blue Egg, your marketing pit crew. Turbocharge your lead generation with experienced drivers that can navigate the competitive track, connecting with your customers. With Blue Egg, you're always in the pole position, leading your brand towards victory lane. Don't spin your wheels. Accelerate success with Blue Egg, fueling small businesses to win big. Also want to give a thanks to our race sponsor here, DesignPing. They sponsor our ARCA series, but they're also our race sponsor here tonight. And DesignPing is a design agency that specializes in creating websites and digital content that not only look incredible, but also enable your business to outperform all of your competitors. Make sure you check out designping.com to learn more. And back to you guys.
Thank you very much, Jesse, for that. And of course, thanks to our premier sponsors and partners here at the Elite Racing League and the Elite Racing Network for making everything happen, making all the cogs turn here in this wild, wild machine that we love. Lap 99 of 150, as you see there, the call. Caution number 5 seconds, solo spin, no contact for truck number 30 of Connor Thompson. So a second in race tally. Gavin Higgins, though, still in the lead of this race. Gerald Campbell will look again to fight him on the restart. No fresh tyres for any of these guys up at the front, so order remains as it is. They'll come to lap 100 of 150, so 51 laps to go at the end of this lap. When we go green, the pace car will pull in just a moment's time, and now only a third of the race to go. It begins to become crunch time for these drivers. Higgins will have control of the restart and steps on the loud pedal. Not as big a jump as he's had in some of these restarts, only 2/10 clear of Gerald Campbell. But here comes Justin Wadsworth now in third place, as Wadsworth looking to make a move on Gerald Campbell. Campbell shuts the door here. Again, puts his bumper right in the face there of Justin Wadsworth. Make sure that there is nothing going for the driver of the 6 here. Campbell now looking for a good exit. Try and get under Gavin Higgins, and does so. Side by side now for the race lead. Campbell inside, Higgins outside here. Higgins looking to conserve the momentum on the high side. Campbell looking to get a slide job done here. Higgins will cross over back to the low side for the number 20. Late on the brakes now for Gavin Higgins. Campbell trying to roll the higher side here and will get the job done. Gerald Campbell now leads here at Iowa. Higgins will fall back to second place here. Justin Wadsworth now potentially putting pressure on the number 20 here with just 49 laps to go. Gerald Campbell takes the lead and is now the one in the position to lock himself in to the championship 4.
What a good move right there. Way to really take charge and get the lead and get the clean air. It's always better to get the clean air. I think it helps take care of the tires. Now now Gerald needs to do is manage right here. Just don't drive too hard, pull far away. Just try to keep them behind you. Take care of the stuff for later, just in case it goes green all the way, because you want to have enough tire to defend. And I think a lot of guys didn't take tires under that caution because they got one set left and they don't know when they're going to use it. It could come in 20 laps when the caution comes out, or it could just sit in the pits for the rest of the race.
Definitely a debate that these guys are weighing up. Only one set of tires. You do not want to use it too early. You'll be a sitting duck potentially when it matters most. A fight here now between Leighton Norgard and Joe Francis. This is your fight for P7. Norgard up on the high side. Francis trying to get it done on the low side there, but nothing going for either driver really. They still locked in a dead heat here, side by side, as they run across the line here. Barely a few hundredths to separate these drivers at most here. Jeff Green as well on the inside of Josh Adams, so that is a fight for P4. So Adams, as we mentioned here, his prowess and his skill at this track, we've mentioned it before. 45 laps to go. He's beginning to rise to the top when it matters most, and could potentially look at a move on any of the top 3 here. Speaking of the top 3, there's a fight beginning to emerge. Justin Wadsworth just looking to the outside of Gavin Higgins. Now has a good run at coming down the back straight. Does Wadsworth look to move into 3? Not this time. Will instead go a car width to Higgins' outside and will get to the right rear just about of the 20. Higgins trying desperately to get clear, but Wadsworth now there, as is Josh Adams. As we hone in on this fight, you see Josh Adams just on the right hand side of your picture trying to work his way into this fight. All the while Gerald Campbell might be able to begin to pull away. The philosophy of tyre saving really in stock car racing is doing the minimum possible to keep your position. That is how you master that long run pace essentially as the leader at this point. And right now with Wadsworth, Higgins and Adams all beginning to fight as hard as they are for this position, I would think that Gerald Campbell doesn't have to do too much to hold on to that race lead. But Justin Wadsworth now might be looking at P2, as Josh Adams might be looking to follow him through there on Gavin Higgins. Gavin Higgins slipping out of the podium places now. Wadsworth up to second place here. Higgins will again fight on the low side, but nothing going there for truck number 20. Wadsworth will again clear off the corner here, and Gerald Campbell now half a second in front. Wadsworth, now that he's clear, can potentially look to make chase after the 00, but with only 41 laps to go, I would say, Matthew, this is Campbell's race to lose.
Oh yeah, it really is, because that was a good fight. You gained enough time right here to kind of take care of your stuff a little bit, let these boys race hard. So now it's all about being smooth, being consistent, run good times, take care of your stuff enough so you can defend when they do catch you, because those two guys are good and they will probably catch you towards the end of this run. So you just want to save enough to hold them at bay and maybe hope for a caution. You never know.
Potentially, a caution can always it can benefit some the same way that it might hurt some. Jeff
Ooh.
Green there, just tagging the wall quite big there actually, into the outside wall there for Jeff Green, but I don't think any harm done to that 38 truck. He will continue chugging along in P5. JP Phillips and Leighton Norgard just behind them though in P6 and P7. JP Phillips all over the racetrack there, coming down the curved front straight here at Iowa here. Still half a second between Campbell and Wadsworth here though, Matthew.
Yeah, he gained a 10th that last lap there, then he lost it in her own corner. Looks like he's blitzing a little early to get a big run for these straights, and I think Gavin might have burnt his tires off on that run before the latest caution when he was racing Gerald real hard trying to defend it. I think that really heated him up, and he's trying to cool him back down to get him back to him.
Definitely seems to be the case. It's beginning to snowball, I think, somewhat for Gavin. Now that, I mean, you can definitely afford to burn up your tires a little bit more when you're in that clean air. But I think as soon as he lost the lead to Gerald Campbell and Campbell got clear, I think it was going to be always going to snowball somewhat for Gavin Higgins. He's back and forth. He seems to have calmed down a bit now, has found a rhythm again. Jeff Green a couple of tenths behind, not putting any extreme pressure on the 20, but I think Gavin Higgins now really has his back against the wall if he wants to get back up into the top 3 here. But Gerald Campbell still leading the way here, and with only 35 laps to go, this is definitely time running out for a lot of these guys like Josh Adams, Gavin Higgins, JP Phillips, Leighton Norgard, potentially even Chris Wright if the point swing doesn't go his way here. But I look at the likes of Tom Bourne, 8 positions behind plus no stage points. I think Chris Wright will overtake Tom Bourne in the championship, meaning that it will be Tom Bourne that will be ousted out of the final 4 if Gerald Campbell wins here tonight, and it'll be Gerald Campbell, Chris Wright, Justin Wadsworth, Jeff Green. That is your final 4 as they run. Still, anything can change though, Matthew. With 34 laps to go, things though beginning to stagnate. Every driver getting the most that they can, but it's single file throughout the majority of the field here.
Yeah, it looks like a lot of these guys are just probably trying to conserve a little bit for the last 25 laps. For some guys already burnt their stuff. It's a lot of single file stuff, as we see Chris going right up to the wall trying to get all that momentum, and McCorkle making a good move on Chris to gain that spot. Ooh, across them. It always scares me when they turn the wheel left like that, because it just makes me think they're going to wreck it, because sometimes on the exit when you try to cross someone up and you're really quick with the wheel, that thing would just go.
Yeah, the tires really tend to not like it when you swing the wheel left like that, trying to pull a crossover move. Of course, Chris Wright kind of had to, else he was going to go square into the back of Cody McCorkle. McCorkle pulling a slide job there through 3 and 4 on Chris Wright, who he now clears again going into turn number 1 here. So Chris Wright down to 10th. It's not been the race that I think either Chris Wright or Tom Bourne wanted. They were the 2 drivers above the cut line, and I think especially so for Tom Bourne, it's not really someone we've mentioned too much so far this race. He sits 9 seconds off the lead in 17th place, so he will almost certainly lose his position in the standings to Chris Wright, meaning at the moment, as you've mentioned, he will not make the final 4 despite winning the regular season championship. It's not been the postseason that driver number 61 has hoped for. There's now a fight between the Lake Norman drivers. Frank Voti, father of course of team owner Tyler Voti, trying to get into the top 10 ahead of his teammate Chris Wright. As that fight continues to go on, I look at the gap in the top left. It's definitely swinging back and forth somewhat between Gerald Campbell and Justin Wadsworth. But I think Wadsworth might be starting to gain ever so slightly. I've seen it dip below 4 tenths ever so slightly. But more so than that, Josh Adams is beginning to work his way into this fight himself. He himself only half a second off of Gerald Campbell. Could we potentially, Matthew, see a 3-way fight for the lead here before the end?
Oh yeah, I think we will. I think these guys are gonna. I think they're about even, Wadsworth and Adams right now on the tires, and I think they're gonna catch Gerald about the same time, and then it's gonna be a big fight for the win with these three guys, because we all know, everyone in Elite knows, Gerald is the hardest guy to pass in this series, in this league, in all leagues that Elite runs. He's the hardest guy. We call him the Ryan Newman for a reason.
Definitely a difficult card to pass, and I'm sure it'll be no different. Less than 30 laps from a win that lock him into the Championship 4 in the Truck Series. But Justin Wadsworth doing everything he can to bear down on Josh, not on Josh Adams. He's past Josh Adams for now. He's trying to bear down on Gerald Campbell with just 27 laps to go here. But still, the gap's stable. Gerald Campbell not losing any time, at least not at a rate significant enough to warrant any particular concern here. Still 3/10 between Gerald Campbell and Justin Wadsworth. Higgins still only a second behind, so he's not lost any more time. In fact, he's gained ever so slightly back that gap with Jeff Green in 5th. I'll let you Norgard on something of an island here. A second behind Jeff Green and half a second in front of JP Phillips, who himself. Both of these guys in a must-win situation, but unless a caution happens, it seems pretty much a foregone conclusion for both Leighton and JP that they won't make the Final Four as things run. Joe Francis, Cody McCorkle as well, not looking too good on the points front for them. Chris Wright, definitely on the edge somewhat, but I think will be just about okay unless he can get leapfrogged potentially by someone like Josh Adams. Or Gavin Higgins with a fairly major point swing. Chris Wright only running 10th. But 24 laps to go now as all three leaders make their way past Dave Huckleberry. They have now all converged on one another. Justin Wadsworth less than 2/10 behind Gerald Campbell, and Josh Adams 3/10 behind. The fight beginning to heat up. Justin Wadsworth goes high. He's going to potentially look for a move into turn 3. Not this time. He's going to go way upstairs here. He's going to look potentially for a crossover move. He has to be wary of Josh Adams on his left rear. Can't quite chop down like he might potentially want to. He's going to give Gerald Campbell a shot going into turns number 1. Try and unsettle the driver behind the wheel of that 00. Not quite looking for that decisive move just yet. I'll have to wait and see. Does he make the move going into turn 3 this time again? Patience is the name of the game for Justin Wadsworth, but Josh Adams as well trying to get his way in on the low side here. Now Wadsworth boxed in. He has Adams on his left rear as we ride on board with the Lake Norman driver again. He's going to go way upstairs. He's going to hit those nasty bumps through the middle of the corner, but he's going to get to the left rear of Gerald Campbell just about. It's so close there. Gerald Campbell fishtailing around the corner, but it was a good run, as you said there, for Justin Wadsworth. We are now 3 wide for the race lead. Justin Wadsworth already locked in, simply trying to make the points race more interesting. They're side by side over the starting pit. Gerald Campbell's going to fight this with everything he's got here, but Justin Wadsworth looking for his second win in the postseason. He's going to take the lead coming out of turn 2. Gerald Campbell down to second, and that is going to be a crucial pass. With just 20 laps to go at the stripe, Gerald Campbell tries to get to Wadsworth's left rear, but it's nothing going for the 00. 20 to go. Wadsworth takes the lead. That's crucial, Matthew, surely.
Oh yeah, it is. And now Adams is getting really held up by Gerald right now. Gerald put a block on him right there on the entry, and looked like Adams scraped the wall. And I thought Adams was better than Wadsworth right there, you know, while they were catching him. He just could not make the move on the bottom. And then once Wadsworth got around Gerald, I think he's going to set sail down and going to defend that spot with his life. Dude, would have slid right up in front of him. Now Adams needs to clear him here. He has to get clear so he can. Okay, good move now. Slide up now. Now he has to start getting up there to catch Wadsworth.
Can't get there though. Nothing going. Gavin Higgins now joining the party. He's in P4. Campbell down to 3rd, but look at the gap that Wadsworth has already in the time that Adams and Campbell are scrapping for P2. Wadsworth has absolutely capitalized. He's now half a second clear of Josh Adams there. Gavin Higgins now on the inside of Gerald Campbell. Campbell into the wall there, trying to take everything he can on the entry there. Higgins now trying to get clear of Gerald Campbell. I think he's starting to see the race win slip away, trying potentially seeing a Final Four spot slip away here for Gerald Campbell, as he's now down into 4th place with just 17 laps to go. Adams now beginning to close in, just 0.4 of a second between himself and Justin Wadsworth. Wadsworth looks good on the exit here. Adams taking it all and more on the entry there as he runs that low side Wadsworth through the middle. But it's Wadsworth conserving the momentum through the corner that's helping him keep Adams at bay for just the current moment. Anything can change. It all changed on a dime. Just a few laps ago, Campbell was leading and looking good for a Final Four berth. Now finds himself back in position number 4 on the track, with Wadsworth now leading the charge. Already locked in, meaning 2 positions will be decided on points here. Those positions were, at the moment of the start of this race, held by Tom Bourne and Chris Wright. Chris Wright potentially will still hold on. Tom Bourne really has his back against the wall here, back in just the high teens there in terms of position out to P16, having got past Mitchell Javier, but still 14 seconds behind the leader. Needs a caution if he wants any decent points all out of this race. Now running on board with Josh Adams, you're going to see the difference in line here through turns 3 and 4. Wadsworth choosing to take the higher line. Adams, just taking the short distance around the corner, but Adams getting majorly loose out of turn number 4 on that particular occasion. 14 laps to go. Adams, I don't think Mathieu is making the headway he needs at the rate he needs to catch Wadsworth before the end of this race.
Yeah, I agree. It looks like it's really even between these two. Adams gets him on the entry, then Wadsworth pulls him down the straights. Like we were talking about earlier, when I mentioned it when they were catching Gerald, I've noticed Wadsworth was really lifting early so he can carry that momentum down the straights, and it seems to be working right here as well, trying to keeping the lead from Adams.
Definitely. Still though, less than 3 tenths. I think Adams is closing in ever so slightly. See now the gap really diminished through 3 and 4, but again Wadsworth will take it all back on the exit there. Really strong exit. He's going to actually take a little bit more on top there. 3 tenths now between Wadsworth and Adams up at the front of the field with just 12 laps to go. That's not a long time here at Iowa. Gavin Higgins
scrape
in third with a little scrape to the wall there, as you say, Matthew. Gavin Higgins, third place there, 1.1 seconds off the lead. He's not really in this fight again unless a caution comes out. Jeff Green, Leighton Norgard now is going to be fighting with Gerald Campbell for position number 5. Campbell beginning to free fall through the field here. But now here comes Josh Adams with a good run out of turn 2. This now starts the fight for the lead. Of course, it's all to play for Josh Adams, as he has got a Final Four berth to fight for here. He's going to try and get to the left rear of Justin Wadsworth, but Wadsworth still clear this time. 10 laps to go. It's all to play for, Matthew.
Yeah, I wish Adams would track out more out of 4. On the exit, it looks like he's trying to keep it lower, and he gets a little loose on the exit, and it kind of kills his momentum. If he kind of just track out a little bit while he's cleared to just carry that momentum, it'll help. But I think it's going to be so hard to pass Wadsworth on the bottom. He's going to have to switch it up and do something different here these last 10 laps to get to his outside. I just don't think the bottom is viable to make a move on the older tires.
Yeah, it looks to be that way. I think if I'm Josh Adams, I'm potentially looking, if I can get a decent run right up to the back of Justin Wadsworth, I'm looking potentially at a slide job into 3, try and clear and see if I can just hold the outside and take the lead that way. But right now, Justin Wadsworth, it doesn't matter about the pace, he can just hold the outside, and there is not much Josh Adams can do. 8 laps to go. Josh Adams has to do everything to get past Justin Wadsworth. An accomplished racer in the Elite Racing League will not be easy to pass in a championship cutoff race. Of course, Wadsworth already locked in, but still wants that extra victory to carry that momentum into the final race at Legacy, Texas in just 1 week's time. Adams now all over the back of Justin Wadsworth. Here is the move. It's late on the brakes for Josh Adams. He's going to almost get clear, but he can't get clear. Wadsworth hanging on the right rear, pardon me. And that's going to allow Wadsworth to again fly back past. Adams, though, hangs on to the left-hand door of Justin Wadsworth. So very nearly contact with 6 to go here at the line. But Wadsworth, again, just with a nose, able to hold him off on the outside. Adams, again, will drive it deep into the corner. Wadsworth will just roll the outside, trying to keep him pinned down below and kill the 81's momentum. Again, half a tenth in front. Still, Adams trying to take all he can get here. I do wonder just how long it's going to be before door banging and bumper banging starts to come out here. But 5 laps to go here. Wadsworth just about gets clear yet again and Adams is going to have to reset and try again here.
Yeah, I thought he had made a good move to 3 and 4, running it outside, and got even with them on the front stretch. Now, you know, Wadsworth is going to defend that move. I mean, so I think eventually you're going to have to give him a little bump. He is going to defend this. Everything you do is going to be so hard on the bottom. You either got to drive it in there really hard. If you don't slide job him,
That's a slider.
Almost got him. But he did it. Run him really high. Make him lift. I mean, that's the thing of stock car, you know. Drive it in there. Ride him really close. Get him really.
Oh no. Oh, they're both in the wall.
Woo.
Adams
Okay.
has taken the lead. That's certainly an abrasive way to do it. Adams does take the lead. They're both in the wall there. And look, Gavin Higgins is now in play. Less than or just over half a second, I should say, in front of these two. Adams with a hefty whack into the outside wall there, but does take the lead. He's now 3/10 in front of Justin Wadsworth. With just 2 laps to go at the line, a crucial move. It was rough. It was abrasive. Some might say it was over the top. Adams won't give a monkeys. He is out in front, just 1/10.5 though. Will Wadsworth give it back to him? Can he get there?
He tried right there. He really drove it in on entry. Got a little loose on exit. Oh, he needs a smooth corner. If he wants to give him the bumper, you got to be a little bit closer. Because if you drive it in from that far back, you're pretty much going to hit him too hard and wreck him. I think you got to be really close to him.
It's a final lap now, riding on board with Justin Wadsworth, giving everything he can. Josh Adams, if he wins this race, will find himself in the final 4. Wadsworth trying to fight for everything he's got here. He's going to give it one last ditch effort into turn 3 and 4, but nothing he can do. Josh Adams makes the pass when it matters most, and he's going to lock his way into the championship 4. Josh Adams will fight for a title. He wins at Iowa Speedway. Wadsworth will come home 2nd. Higgins fights back to 3rd. Jeff Green 4th for Leighton Norgard. 5th, Gerald Campbell falls back to 6th. JP Phillips, Joe Francis, Cody McCorkle and Michael Hossack, your top 10. But Matthew, that was certainly an end to that race.
Yeah, and he pulled the old patent move of my favorite driver, Hamlin. You know, you make them lift or wreck themselves, and he made Wadsworth whiff so they didn't wreck each other.
Definitely the sort of move that Josh Adams had to make, I'm sure. I mean, we'll get both their opinions on it after a quick break here, but we'll quickly go over your race results here. Josh Adams wins by 4/10 over Justin Wadsworth. Gavin Higgins there rounds out the podium. Jeff Green finishes 4th. Leighton Norgard, unfortunately, no repeat Final 4 appearance for him. He's 5th. Gerald Campbell in 6th. JP Phillips in 7th. Joe Francis, Cody McCorkle, and Michael Hossack in 10th. Chris Wright will be on the bubble alongside Tom Bourne in 16th as to be the final driver to make it into the Final 4. Dylan Havere and Mitch Havere 12th and 13th for Lake Norman. Jeff Ryan in 14th. Kyle Hanshaw, not someone we mentioned much. It's a solid top 15 for truck number 46. Tom Bourne, as we mentioned, 16th. Frank Foti and Caleb Kuma 17th and 18th for Lake Norman Motorsports. David Huckleberry, the last classified finisher, he's 19th, 2 laps down, with Jaden Rasimas, Connor Thompson, Andrew Hardcastle, and Seth Rawls, all unfortunately failing to see the checkered flag. And we'll quickly take a break here. We're going to thank some premier sponsors and partners while Josh Adams does his victory celebration donuts. After we come back, we'll hear from our top 3, Gavin Higgins, Justin Wadsworth, and Josh Adams after a thrilling race to decide the Final 4 at Iowa with the DesignPing 150. Don't go anywhere, we'll be right back.
They walk among us, but at 240 miles per hour, they become something more. They're thrill seekers, risk takers, and maybe just a little bit unhinged. Buckle up. This new era of speed, this racing revolution, it's just getting started.
Since 2010, race fans have had one burning question. When will the Xfinity Series return to Worldwide Technology Raceway? You asked, NASCAR delivered. On Saturday, September 6, 2025, the magic is back. The track that launched the legendary careers of Harvick, Busch, Keselowski, Edwards, and Earnhardt Jr. is now ready to write that next chapter. We're going to introduce you to a new crop of future champions and Hall of Famers. And in the process, we'll create more of the greatest moments in racing history. NASCAR Weekend 2025, the NASCAR Cup Series Championship Playoffs, the Confluence Music Festival, and now 250 miles of the NASCAR Xfinity Series. 2 incredible races, 1 challenging track, a 3-day party of epic proportions. Go to www.raceway.com and lock in your weekend racing and camping packages for as little as $20 down.
And we are back here for post-race coverage of the DesignPing 150 here at virtual Iowa Speedway. Josh Adams has locked himself in to the Final Four with a clutch overtake and clutch victory here tonight at Iowa. We're going to start interviewing our top 3 here. First up, third place, Gavin Higgins. Gavin, it's Matthew and William up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yep.
So you led the majority of the race. You started second. You quickly took the lead from Jeff Green at the start of the race, and it seemed like you were really a top contender. And of course, you still come the end with a solid P3. But you held the lead for the majority of the race, but didn't come to be at the end. What happened out there?
I really don't know. I mean, Gerald just went by me, and then I was like, all right, I might just settle behind Gerald and save my tires. And then Justin and Josh came by me, and I was like, all right, maybe they'll waste their tires and stuff, but they ended up not, and I just didn't have anything for them.
Absolutely. I think that definitely it was, of course, quite an abrasive surface. I think it was really treating the tires quite badly, but of course, you held the lead for the majority of the race. Was clean air definitely something that you were grateful to have for that amount of time? It seemed quite important out there.
Yeah, it definitely did. I mean, once Gerald got by me, I mean, that was really the first time all race I was in traffic and not in clean air, so I really didn't know what the truck was going to do.
Definitely, and of course, we have one final race on the season at Legacy, Texas. I don't think, looking at the points, you quite squeaked into the final 4, but still be all to play for at Legacy, Texas. How do you rate your chances at that track?
Yeah, I don't know if I ever raced there. I mean, I raced at the regular Texas, but I don't know if I ever did the Legacy one. But yeah, I knew coming into this race I was 33 points behind, and I was gonna have to win. But yeah, I mean, this is just another race. I lead majority of the laps, not win, just like same thing at Bristol. But yeah, I guess just on to next season.
Absolutely. And any sponsors or partners you want to thank for getting that number 20 onto the podium yet again in the Truck Series?
No sponsors, but shout out to my mom, dad, brother, and sister. Neighbor Pete too. And I don't know if Jay is watching tonight, but I mean, it was his birthday yesterday, so happy birthday, Jay. And you guys for doing this.
Absolutely. Appreciate you, Gavin, for your time. Congratulations on another podium. Hopefully we'll see you again in Texas.
Thanks.
So that was third place, Gavin Higgins. Now second place, runner-up,
Texas.
Justin Wadsworth. In the booth now. Second place for you, Justin. Of course, you're already locked into the final 4, so no real consequence. But I have to ask you about that battle with Josh Adams. It got quite heated towards the end. What do you make of it?
Yeah, man, it was fun. Good night. Anytime I hear your voice, it is a good night because then I finish in the top 3. But this one kind of stings a little bit. Being in the lead there with only a few to go, I know that the guys around me were all racing for that final playoff spot, so I kind of expected Josh to rough me up, and yeah, he sent it in there, and kind of put us both in the wall, but it is what it is. We go to Texas anyways, right?
Yeah, definitely. Of course, you're still within shout of the championship, but how do you rate your night overall as a package? We saw you run sort of lower top 10 for the majority of the race. You sort of really came to life in the latter half of the race. How do you summarize your night as a whole?
Honestly, just same story as last week. Just trying to save the tires and manage the race, and I feel like I need to probably stop doing that because it doesn't usually pay off. By the time I started picking them back up, the caution comes out, and then after a while, you've just got to kind of send it and stretch the legs out a little bit, and I felt like I had speed, just didn't want to show in the beginning.
Definitely. Well, of course, you travel to Legacy, Texas for your shot at a third championship. How do you rate your chances at that track? It's obviously not somewhere we usually go at all in any of the series, let alone for a Final Four race. So how do you rate your chances at that track?
Honestly, I'm not really sure. I don't know that I've raced Old Texas in quite a long time, but we got a couple weeks until we go there. I'll run a few laps, see where I'm at, and go give it our best shot, right?
Definitely, and of course, before we let you go, any sponsors or partners you want to thank for yet another solid result for truck number 6?
Yeah, shout out to the family, everybody watching, girlfriend Jill. Shout out to Lake Norman. It's been great being on the team. And then shout out to you guys. You guys do a great job up there in the booth. Weeks, Jesse, William, all you guys are awesome. And I say it every week, but I do enjoy watching it back. And you guys do a great job. So thank you.
I appreciate the kind words. Kind words, Justin. Appreciate your time as well. And again, congrats on that P2. We'll see you next week.
All right, thanks, guys.
So that was Justin Wadsworth in second place. But man of the hour, it's a clutch victory for Josh Adams. He finds his way into the Final Four in the Truck Series. Josh Adams, how does that feel?
It feels great. They tried to keep it from me, and I got put in a position where I just had to go and take it, but it feels great.
Yeah, definitely. We asked Justin about it, and of course, I'm sure you guys spoke about it a little bit in the waiting room. What do you make of that battle, of course, between you and him right towards the death? Definitely a bit of a roughing up going on, classic short track stuff, surely.
Oh yeah, I hope that's how most people take that. There's a couple of guys that won't take it that way. I talked to Justin about it, and I told him I appreciate how clean he races me, and I know it got a little bit rough there at the end, but I gave it a handful of laps before we made it a little bit rough. But some of those other guys tried to make it really hard. I don't understand how getting taken out by the 8 was what it was, but him and the 38 were already upset at me, and then I got wrecked the next corner. So
Definitely got a little bit rough out there, but of course you're into the Final Four. You're going to be going to Legacy, Texas for your shot at a title. It's not somewhere we usually go at any point in any series, let alone for a championship race. So, what do you expect from that track from your own perspective? How do you rate your chances?
I think chances are pretty high. I think a lot of the guy that made the setup that we're going to be racing, he knows what he's doing. So it should be a fantastic Final Four race, and I think there's going to be 4 really good drivers going for it. So I'm looking forward to it.
Definitely. Well, before we let you go and get some prep laps at Old Texas, any sponsors or partners you want to thank for a Championship 4 appearance for the number 81 truck?
Oh yeah, JUICYSPYDER Studios, Mike, Nick, Donnie. I know they were watching. I just talked to Nick. He was watching the last handful of laps there. At least they're pretty happy that we got it done and get to race for a championship. So shout out to all those guys. The High Side Podcast, the JUICYSPYDER Network. We got NJB Designs for the paint scheme. Noah making me look nice. And then you guys up here in the booth, we couldn't do any of this without a broadcast, and we would want to. And then Chad that puts up with all of it, even though we give him a hard time. We wouldn't be doing this without him either. So appreciate everybody, and looking forward to the week off before we get going to the championship race.
Absolutely. Well, congratulations again on the win and the ticket to the Final Four, Josh. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
So that was Josh Adams, your winner, and Championship 4 appearance for Josh Adams. He wins tonight the DesignPing 150 at Iowa. Before we wrap up tonight's broadcast, final thoughts from you, Mathieu Weeks?
A really good Iowa race. I think we only had like 5 or 6 cautions. Hard racing, good tire wear, trucks was sideways, and good battle at the end for the win. To me, if I was in Wadsworth's spot, I would have stayed in the gas there a little bit, but hey, it is what it is. Everyone's racing, having a good time. It was a good, clean, hard race right there, and everyone enjoys that kind of stuff. But everyone has a week off. These Championship 4 guys do. That means you got plenty of time to put some time in and get ready for that championship race. And I can see these guys doing that. And we go to one of my favorite tracks on the Sims. I love Legacy, Texas. I can't wait to watch these guys race. I wish I was out there racing to be honest with you. But I'll be there next season when they race Texas. So I can't wait to watch it. It's gonna be good.
Absolutely, a barn burner, almost guaranteed at Old Texas in 2 weeks' time to decide your 2025 a Juicy Spider Truck Series champion. But for now, the action is done. Your final four is set, and we'll have to wait and see who rises to the top and takes the crown in 2 weeks at Legacy, Texas. So, from me, William White, from Mathieu Weeks, Creative Control, Jesse Rasimas in the production box, from everyone else at the Elite Racing Network, everyone at the Elite Racing League, and all our premier sponsors and partners, thank you very much for watching. Have a very safe evening. Thanks for watching, and good night.